Hey, welcome to another edition of Breaking Protocol from the Razzle Dazzle Show, our ongoing miniseries where we break down key updates and design questions straight from the development of Shade Protocol. These episodes are built around the game's community engagement series Devs Ask You, or DAUs, where Kendall and the team not only show us changing, but invite fans to shape the journey with them. After an incredible Kickstarter campaign that reached 946% of its funding goal, the future of the game has changed in a very real way. So today, we're talking with Kendall about what this milestone means, how it happened, and where Shade Protocol goes from here. Be sure to follow us and Little Legendary on our socials and YouTube channel, and be sure to join the Shade Protocol Discord server to follow new DAUs, vote in polls, and share your voice directly with the dev team. Links to everything will be in the description down below, and with all that being said, it's Razzle Dazzle time! Kendall, before the campaign launched, you mentioned in the DAU before it launched, announcing the release date, about how uncomfortable it felt asking the community for support because you've always wanted to carry this project yourself. Now that it's over, how has your perspective changed after seeing nearly 4,000 people rally behind Shade Protocol?
It's pretty rough, I would say. The effect that it has on us as a team, it can't easily be explained. Like, it's quite a lot of people that are very in love with the game. There's a lot of goodwill there. There's also like very, very high expectations. So it's a difficult thing overall, but I did not expect it to do as well. Not because we don't believe in the game, but because the economic state of the world it's just not there, right?
Yeah.
Things are not in an excellent place for anybody. So I mean, we thought maybe we'll make maybe we'll be able to fund 150,000. Maybe our goal was 40. So we said if we could get there, maybe make it to 200,000, with a lot of effort, I think we'll be okay. And we won't get to make the game we want to make, but we get to make a game that we're proud of. And, of course, from there on, move on to everything else that we need to do, consider publishing or consider overseas publishing, physical goods, etc. So, the fact that culturally I'm just not the kind of person that I just take well to asking for help in terms of
it's a Hispanic thing, man. I get it.
Yeah, I think that's one way to say it for sure. It's not necessarily that that I don't see the value of people helping. It's I feel like there needs to be a trade. You give me something and I have to give you something back.
Right.
And we don't have something to give back just yet. And even though there's a lot of things that we are working on that I think will make it much faster than we thought, thanks to the support that people gave us, we didn't know that going into the whole thing. So yeah, the answer is it's very overwhelming. We are meeting every Wednesday, trying to work through what to do, and it's very difficult because we not only we did better than we thought, we also managed it better than we thought in terms of cost. We are producing more. We produced more during the Kickstarter than we thought we were going to produce in terms of work. So it's just overall, I would say, in terms of marks, I would say we're most of it is good, and the new things I wouldn't even call them bad. Just the difficult things that are coming because of Kickstarter are things that we can learn to manage, but nothing that I would say is breaking our path forward. Just a little bit of the burdens of success, we'll call it. Now we have to kind of make it to deliver in a different way that we thought we were going to, right? And stretch goals are a big thing, so they change your scope even if you try not to. And also the fact that it just went too wild, right? So I mean, we're one of the largest indie platforming Kickstarters ever in Kickstarter. So I mean, it's not a small thing to carry that, and and from there, how do you do good with that, right? So now we're
Mm.
we're getting a lot of people from other games like are reaching out and saying, hey, how do you guys do it? Like, can you guys help us out? And and now finding a way to like also send that forward, right? Like send that elevator back down, and having other people do well is also part of the responsibility. So we're doing our best. Nothing that's going to break us, but we are still in shock, I would say. I mean, more than a month out, we're still kind of working through the the effects of it all. But yeah, it's going okay, I would say. We're recuperating, hopefully very soon.
Um, Myself included, and a lot of the audience here right now, live as of recording, were right here, right there, when you guys hit launch and it started. I remember hearing the lack of coherent thought from your end of the microphone, meaning like you were just so focused, you're so zoned in, and the Kickstarter itself got fully funded within the first 20-25 minutes, which is insane, by the way. That is so incredibly fast. And then a month later, once it was over, it reached 945-46% in total, raising over $378,000. Was there a moment during this campaign or during those first 20-25 minutes where it finally hit you just how big this has become?
Um, I don't think I don't think just yet. I think like the thing is like there is a lot more that's still coming. So I think like I actually, uh had a nobody needs to be scared, but therapy is a healthy thing. But
Hmm.
I go to therapy every month once, just for making sure I'm okay, because this is a lot of stress, more than people think, but not because I need it, but because I want to be thoughtful about, I don't have someone to talk to. I would say it's kind of sad, but I don't have someone to talk to that understands like what's going on, right? So I'm in this session and I'm talking to someone, and the doctor's kind of asking me a couple questions, and without going over everything, I tell him, like, how this feels. This feels like, you know back when people are in school, for example. Imagine you have your entire semester, and once you go through the semester, you are sure that you're going to get your summer break, right? But then at the end of the semester, you're told, a like, see you tomorrow for summer classes, and you're like, what the hell are you talking about? And they're like, yeah, I mean, like, of course you want to graduate, in time, you have to take summer classes. And you're like, that's not how that works. But you know what I mean? Like, that's exactly what's happening, almost literally. We go through the Kickstarter, on physically, our team, in their minds, it's like, we need to make it to this date, and that is it. Like, we need to survive until then. And what we are discovering now is that that's nowhere near the case. That was the start of a very, very high stress, never dropping, any of the flying platters, right?
Hmm.
From here on out. So we didn't do a good job at finding a moment before the storm to rest. We never did, right? We came out of like three really big, very successful trailers and events and stuff like that, and then going into this moment now that we are having to work, uh, at a very, very high. Um, I wouldn't say it's not about the hours. It's more about like we have to be very productive and very efficient, because now we're using money that was given to us with immense trust. So if I was an ass before about like spending money, you can imagine now how I'm dealing with like vendors or anything. Like I am even like asking, like, the bank is like, do I really have to pay, $40 to do this wire transfer? Like, like, because every dollar, like $40 is someone's physical copy.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it. Like, that's one backer that gave me their trust. Like, So I'm being carefully frugal with the money that we were given. But that's the answer to your question more literally is it didn't hit me then yet because I felt like it was going to hit me at the end of the Kickstarter. I mean, I'm talking more for me than the entire team. Uh, but it hasn't stopped, right? We still now have to like set up the pledge manager, which we could talk about it later. And so when we set up the pledge manager, we're probably going to raise another big amount. I mean, nowhere near this, but it's probably going to be another big amount because way too many people. And when I say too many people, it's way too many people are reaching out. It's like, hey, like I didn't get a signed copy. Can I get a signed copy upgrade? Hey, now that the Kickstarter is successful, like my friends want copies. Can I buy an extra 5 copies? That's a real message I got. Like that's a real human being that said those words to me. Like without trying to go to war with me. It's the kind of stuff that you know that you're gonna, not that it's gonna do like a ton better, but do I think we make it to like 400,000? I'm very, very sure that we will in the sum of all of it. And that's just wild to think through. Like not that we won't be able to spend it. I assure you we'll spend every dollar. We will spend it in a very judicious but valuable way. But more like I don't know when I'm going to realize that this happened because it hasn't clicked yet. But yeah, I'm very, very proud of the entire thing. I think like the community has done something spectacular. I don't think this is normal at all, and I appreciate it a lot. But the moment where even my physical, the physical damage that this has done is not even done. Like I still can tell, like I'm in a weird place that I am like running on this like everlasting adrenaline that needs to stop. But in the process, we're also thinking about getting a producer right on the team, like someone that can help me descale some of my work. Now that we can afford that a little bit. I mean, it's not like we're gonna hire 2 people to do the same job, but there are things that in the game development side that are critical to do from a planning perspective. And because now I have also, thanks to the support of the community, have way bigger responsibilities, it's a good place for us to bring in someone that can help us do planning and orchestrating and get us into events and plan the trailers and stuff like that. So it'll be an actual production person, like someone that's like worried about did we accomplish the task that we had to accomplish this week. And I think that will descale me a lot to do other things that are only in my plate. So yeah,
That's
very, very happy with it. But yeah, complicated answer. I haven't felt that yet, but I know it's coming. I know it's gonna. I know I'm gonna crash out at some point, but we'll see.
You've been going over a year and a half without crashing yet. I think you're either due for it soon, or you're just gonna keep going, man. It's like
I've crashed before. We had a big crash out a while back, which I'm trying to not have again because it's very physically draining. It took me out for like a good month. But I don't think it's going to be that bad because you kind of learn the taste of the blood when you get punched that hard. So I mean, we are not as I'm not dumb enough to get there again, but we get close. We ride that line, pretty really closely, I would say.
So beyond simply having a larger budget, what does this Kickstarter actually allow the team to do that wouldn't have been possible before?
So I think like that's something that I want to demystify that is important. In the same way we're saying all these good things, there's also the side that just to be true, like hyper transparent to everybody. Even like we're not gonna get $375,000 into our account. It doesn't work like that, right? We get an amount from Kickstarter that they take fees, they take transaction, we have to pay taxes of all this money, then we have to pay vendors and the ads that we did, all that stuff, right? after that we have to pay physical goods, right? So we're gonna a lot of that money is gonna disappear on stuff that has to be paid. Um, but the let's say for conversation's sake, I think we did a little. I think we did better than that. We don't know yet because we're still working through wire transfers and getting everyone paid and the physical good deals and all that stuff, closing all that. But we'll know soon. But I think we did better than 50% for sure. I mean, I think we did probably a lot better than 50% in terms of keeping. Most Kickstarters actually keep less than that if they have like a good scale. But I think we did much better than that. I hope so. I'll be able to share that with the community once we know for sure. But let's say just for conversation's sake that we kept half of that money. Making a game of the quality that we're trying to make for that amount is very, very challenging, if not impossible. So what happens is we, of course, when we make the Kickstarter and we say, hey, this gets us to a place where we're funded, we are saying the truth. We still will be able to make the game with what we have to an extent, right? To an extent. Then what happens is from there, we have been, of course, in conversations with funding, external funding, like publishers or just there's other funds and angel investors and stuff like that are good answers to us making the game we want to make. But yeah, and in the end, to demystify it all, it sounds like a ton of money. It is a ton of money. It is just to make the game we want to make. It's probably we probably still need more. And I know that sounds like, holy crap, what game are you making? I mean, we're making Mega Man Meets Blasphemous. So that both games are very expensive. And I think we can do something that approaches the quality with like 1/10 of the cost. That's kind of our goal. But 1/10 of the cost of those games is a lot of money. So we'll figure it out, but we have good plans to attack this problem with our own resources. Well, I call it our own resources, but I'm speaking in the plural of our community, right? Like the resources that we've been awarded thanks to you guys. So in that sense, is it probable that we'll get a publisher? We're debating it. The answers are we either get a publisher or we go into early access. And I'm just not, I don't want to keep saying that I'm not a fan of early access because a lot of games that are very successful are early access games, and I think that it's a needed and incredibly valuable thing that needs to exist. And a lot of games wouldn't exist without it. But I'm just from a Metroidvania perspective, I just think like people, a story-driven game, you kind of want to see it all at the same time with everybody, right? And it's part of building a community. If some people get to play it in advance in pieces, then some of those emotional moments don't land, or they become part of the internet, and then by the time you play the game, you've seen it before. So it's just something that we're trying to resist the urge. But if we wanted to fully self-fund, that's why the Kickstarter is still 100%, like everything we said there is true. We could just fund the game. We can GUI, we can do merch, we could do, like, you guys enabled us to do all of that, so we could fund it. I'm trying to find a better way, like a way that feels more in line with what I think everyone would like to see, even if it costs us something. We'll see. But I think I probably like completely missed your question.
No.
But okay. Oh no. What are we able to do now that we couldn't before? So I mean, I think every stretch goal, again, to make you're trying to make me emotional, but the every stretch goal in there, it's like a wild thing. We made stretch goals for real. Like, I mean, everyone advised us. Every friend I have that has made a Kickstarter told me the same thing. Like, why don't you just get why don't you just pick something that you were gonna do anyway and just put it on a stretch goal, right? That's what we do. That's what everyone does. Like, why don't you just do that? And once again, is that component of like, have we discussed everything that's on that list? No. Some of that stuff we come up the day of. Some of that stuff we say we're gonna do this. Like, we need to do something. Like we're gonna do this thing. Like I think the instruments we were very uh reluctant to do the instruments. Like I've always wanted more instruments, but we just didn't have the buttons to do it. And we had those discussions mid Kickstarter, the day of. Like we will, okay, so this is the moment to do this. Like getting to people like Emmy Evans or Manami-san, like the composer from Original Mega Man. All this stuff is stuff that happened like the days before or
Right.
during the Kickstarter. Some of these things happened like midway. And we still had a lot of stuff that we didn't get to that we were asking for in the middle of the Kickstarter. So all those things, there were dreams that we wanted to do, like something like the Code Song, which is for those that might not know, is like a biome that we had in mind. The biome was always going to be like a cinematic biome, so you would only go to this place for like cinematics, right? And
Yeah.
you'll see a cutscene and something will happen, and then you come back. Now we get to make an entire world, like entire thing that people get to experience and see, like how the story looks. I'm saying that kind of literally. Like, how does the story look? How do we see it? Right? It's not just this ephemeral thing. The primal bosses is something that we came up with in the middle of the Kickstarter. Like we said, like, do we want to do like more Eldarians, which is the wolf boss? We want to do more of that stuff. Said, yeah. We already had the drawing of this ginormous bear. The bear is way bigger than Eldarian. Like it's way bigger, and I think Eldarian is like 3 or 4 times Sura. I think 4 times. So this is way bigger. So we said, if we're gonna make, more animalistic, like what is the effect of the Shade Protocol in the world? And if it's not like in only replicas or people, what is happening in the world? We said, oh, that'd be a cool idea. Like let's do a set of bosses that are only stuff that is happening in the world, segmented from like the fight with the saviors and all the kind of factions fighting what of the world. So the primal bosses for me are a big thing that gets to tell a story we couldn't do before. Bosses are incredibly expensive. So being able to say we're going to make some that are unique and very for a Black World primal, like they are just ginormous, bestial robots. Like that's crazy cool to say that we get to do that.
I do want to mention that throughout the campaign, you guys have broke through every single stretch goal that you guys made available. You said, I know, like during the campaign, even when you guys hit the air quotes final one, you said there were still potentially more you could do, but you decided to call it off at a certain point. But the key thing I wanted to point out is each of your stretch goals were met, which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know that. No, it's painful because we did not run out of ideas,
right?
But we ran out of viable ideas for sure. Like we did not have like more that we could say, let's do that thing that we knew we wanted to do for sure, and we had a technical understanding of how we're going to do it. We don't quite have. We had a list of things we wanted to do, and then we ran through that list in 3 days.
Yeah.
Like I don't think we had we didn't have anything else. Like we did like 13 stretch goals. We did 12, and then the extra let's here are the things we want to do, right? And I'm just so proud of it. Like we're probably not gonna, we're not gonna keep going into we're probably going to raise more money through the life of the game. I mean, with merch and events and things like that. We want to do a plushie. Everyone wants a plushie, and we couldn't do it. Like, I'm very disappointed in myself in that. So we might do a plushie campaign, and that might just be like a makeshift or something like that, right? And that will raise something, right? And all those things will probably keep raising a little bit, and that mostly helps us fund our team internally, be able to bring a bigger team and do more technology stuff that we want to do, stuff that you guys see in games, but you don't think that there might be a cost to that. Um, maybe someone that does only shaders and stuff like that that just looks really pretty. That kind of work is very specialized, right? And in order to get those artists, it's money that I don't want to. I need to look at the Kickstarter funds as production dollars
Mm,
that prioritize funding the game, and then. But some things, this is also important for people to realize, when you're working on a project of this scale, you're looking at every dollar as how fast am I burning through that money in order to finish the game. So you might be thinking, well, you just do like, here's here's $10,000 to pay for this, and then we do the next milestone, right? And we go like that. The problem is, even though that's completely true, right? You might make it to the end of it and say, oh, we spent $300,000, let's say, at the end of the end of the thing. But the truth is, if you would have at the very, very beginning knew that you were gonna do, as a bad example, I don't know, like cinematic lighting, and you were gonna do like very beautiful kind of 3D-esque lighting, like shaded lighting and all that stuff that looks very spectacular, right? Completely different lighting system. Then if you would have done it from the very beginning, right? You would have probably spent. I'm making numbers up. Let's say $325,000. But if you do it at the end, you'll probably spend 375,000, right? I know that's kind of difficult to grasp, but the challenge is certain things. If you do them from the very beginning, making that bet will cost less.
mm.
And but we're also on the mindset like every dollar needs to go to making sure that the game gets done. But some things we should invest on now, like take the risk now, so that by the time we get to the very end of it, it's all built with that. So the systems are faster to put together. The overall game is better, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why when I say, hey, we might, when we do the plushie campaign, let's say we do the plushie campaign and that raises, I don't know, $100. Those $100 go to, those $100 would go into paying for something that wasn't the basic game. They'll go into doing something that we want to do now that we can't take the risk with the Kickstarter money.
Right.
If that makes sense. So I think that's a good way of attacking a big problem like this, so that you're always working with the resources that you have, so that you don't end up wasting them into something that's just cool, and then you end up not having a game. But at the same time, not giving up on really spectacular ideas that I'm pretty sure people want to see. But first, we can't tell you because then we'll spoil it. But second, nothing is free. This world's very expensive. But anyway, like the conversation shouldn't all be about money, because there's also the goodwill of the people. Like we have now a huge community.
Yes.
We have more than we thought we were going to have. I think our server now has almost 1,900 people.
Yes.
Or some ridiculous number like that. So as those things evolve, we are safer to make more bets because we have a community behind us. That also tells us that day one of the game might be better than we thought by a good order of magnitude. So we can take more risks, which create internal debt, so that when we release the game, that we pay ourselves back from stuff like that. So anyway, very getting more into how a studio runs, but generally speaking, I feel confident that we are being very judicious and careful with the money, but we're also thinking about it for more than the money. Like, how can we give people the best thing that we can make?
Yeah.
And I think that's like the mark of a studio that at least cares enough to not just go and say, we have money now, let's go buy a bunch of jet skis for everybody, and let's that's not who we are, and it's not how we're going to operate anyway.
Yeah, and I think you've already answered my next question, that with the successful campaign, it changes the development roadmap in a sense where it helps you stay focused on the game you've always wanted to make, but also like it allows you to do more. Exactly that, make you more able to make your baby become the best it can be.
Yeah. the roadmap changes are difficult because no indie devs that got funded the way we did wants to say this. But I mean, we didn't have a roadmap. I don't think I don't think that
In
that
terms of
and
a
it's not like
plan, there is no plan.
I mean, of course, do I know in my head like all the areas that I want to make and all the cool stuff that I want to do? Yes, but I am I'm a person of I'm a product person. Like, that's my background. So the way I think about it is everything is Legos. And I joke about that earlier, but everything is a bunch of Legos. You have to build modularly. So the way my story is set up is that we have this bunch of areas that exist in my mind as like big milestones of the game, and now I can create space between them, right? So imagine the worst. This is so gross, but imagine you're making a sandwich, right? And you could just eat bread, right? You could just bread and bread, right? But now we're saying, can we fit more layers, right? Can we put like, lettuce and tomato and this and that and the other, and that's how I think a great game is made. You know, the things that make that sandwich that that for sure, if you don't get that, you don't have the sandwich you wanted to make. But of course, you can always, I mean, not always. I think a sandwich is a bad idea because you can, there's a point where you have too much, right? But, conceptually, there are more things that we wanted it to have, knowing that it would make it better, that we could do away with if it comes to push comes to shove and we have to make the bare minimum. So that is, in terms of a roadmap, yes, we've always had that. Not necessarily like in writing or a big document or whatnot. It's more like we know the areas that we were going to make. We knew that before Kickstarter. But then going into Kickstarter and seeing the result, it lets us then think about, whoa, well, between, let's say, there's no the world is not linear, but we do call them like Area 2 and Area 3. We do. And it's mostly a production timeline. We know we're going to do Area 2 and then Area 3 and then Area 4. That doesn't mean you're going to travel the world in that order. The Area 3 might be the last area of the game, etc., etc. But we call them that. So in terms of those areas, when we look at those areas, we knew why is this getting to it? That we knew what we wanted to make. But of course, now we can say between this area and this area, now you guys can see where the snackles come from. Now you guys can see the code song. Now we can make this cool bosses. Now we get to make 5 bosses that come from the community. We're taking we're taking this I don't know. It's just too amazing. Like I look at it from that perspective of like how much we get to do now that we couldn't do before. And it's just wild. Of course, I'll say this, like some games that you guys know by heart, like you would be able to name a bunch of them, have 10 bosses or less, right? So the fact that we get to make 5 just from the community and we still have to make all the ones we want to make, like already gives you an example of like the sheer magnitude of what we want to do. That doesn't mean that's where we're going to land, right? We are going to have to, from here on out, like also control our own expectations. But it is much bigger than we thought originally. And, I'm very proud to say that, in terms of going towards that goal, now we get to make a much better game. Is there someone out there listening to the podcast that says like, well, I wanted a 3-hour game, and they're crossing their arms and now they're angry at me? I guess, I mean, I am so sorry, but
oh no, my
it's
steak is
probably
too juicy, my lobster's too buttery. Oh no.
yeah, yeah, but now there's a lot more. That doesn't mean that I don't think we are at the level of like Team Cherry or like Super Giant. Like I don't think we can make you a 60-hour game. But we can make I think we can make enough that the hours that we do give you you'll enjoy and you'll remember, which has always been the goal. Like, making a Kingslayer is about not about competition, but it's about like unseating someone in your memory, like giving you something that you'll keep forever, and then you'll be proud to say I was part of that thing. Like, I was there when it was made, and this is something that the same way people talk about Castlevania and Metroid,
Yeah.
and this core things. Like, I only dream that someone would say that we are their favorite game. So, I mean, we have to make a game that is worth of saying that.
I only dream that someday the term Metroidvania will evolve into Shade Troidvania.
I think if we get someone to say shade, like, I'll be very proud. Like, I'll be very proud. That'd be good. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we can do. But I mean, of course, there are things that because of the community, we get to do that haven't been done before. At least not at the scale we're doing it. Like something like cutting the world in half, procedurally this cleanly in a Metroidvania, is new, and from there, I'm sure many others will come that will, take some of that and expand on their own ideas. But we get to be the first, and that's like a big thing, something I'm very proud of, to say, some things will get to be first, and as long as people know that, right?
Yeah.
Because they might not know it, right? Like, but in 5 years from now, 10 years from now, somebody's making a game that kind of has some of the elements from Shape Protocol. I just hope like I could go to that comment section and whatever like virtual reality freaking thing we're using, and somebody goes like, "Oh, that's like Shape Protocol," and that will make it all worth it. But yeah, I guess in short, we do have. We're starting to put a roadmap together now. It's very convoluted because the separation that we are building between the pieces of the things that we have to make in order for the game to make sense now gets to be much wider. But there's a lot more game that gets to be made. Our problem, and this, I'll say this, you can cut this if it's too long-winded, but the problem is that we have some pillars in the studio that go against this being very economically intelligent. So we don't like to. One of our pillars is like let the player play, which also means that we don't. If you're playing our game for 20 or 25 hours, hopefully you played 20 or 25 hours. So we don't have boss runbacks. We don't want to do things that you have to like, is there going to be some stuff that you might just, die and have to like do again? Yeah, I mean, of course. But like, we don't want to waste your time. So that means like if we're adding more game, we have to add more game than the average game.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
in order to give you one more hour of game, we have to add a lot more content than many games have to add in order to give you a total 1 hour of gameplay, right? Because someone might give you a puzzle that that if you die at the very end, you have to start from the beginning, and we are not big fans of like that. It's not that we won't have stuff like that, but like we care too much about your time. We want you to play this game, and if you only get to play it 2 hours in a night or 3 hours in a night, you got a lot, like maybe not a lot done. Like I'm not saying you're gonna progress it quickly, but you'll get a lot. You'll consume a lot in that time, versus like, oh, you fought a boss for 2 hours, and you out of those 2 hours, half of your time was like running back to the boss.
Almost like a certain spider we all know.
No, don't get me in trouble. No,
Throwing shade.
It fits that game. It doesn't fit ours, so we have to find ways to then take the cost for us, right? Because the cost for us is different. The cost for us is, I mean, we can be high and mighty and say, oh, we're doing it this way, but in reality, we're creating cost, right? We're saying, if the player doesn't spend time doing those things, then what are they doing, right? But yeah, I mean, my hope is that you'll end up with a good, I don't know, between 15 to 25 hours of game we might do more, but I think like that's a good baseline to be happy with, and with a lot of replayability that we'll talk about later, because we do have some systems that people helped us fund that let the game be hyper replayable, but not from a perspective of having to do the story again and all that stuff, but in terms of the core gameplay. I think if you're playing 25 hours of our game or 20 hours of our game, you played a lot more game than you would play in other titles of similar genre.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that we can do that, which requires a lot more content than we thought. But yeah, that's how the roadmap is going to evolve, filling out the distance between a core story moment and the next, and making that something that it's not linear and it's fun to enjoy and all that.
This has been another episode of Breaking Protocol from the Razzle Dazzle Show. Want to help what Shade Protocol becomes? Join the Shade Protocol Discord server to follow new DAUs, vote in polls, and share your voice with the dev team directly. Go follow Shade Protocol on Kickstarter, and if you like this breakdown, check out our past spotlights and interviews with Kendall right here on the Razzle Dazzle Show. Remember, the future of Emeria is still being written.